To give you a brief intro to my companies and what I do is IPA Equities has been around since 1999, investing in different sectors over the years, and got into technology in 2000. Just to fast track, we have invested into over 20 blockchain technologies. And my other company, PMBC Group, we work with technology companies. I've worked with over 200 technology companies over the last 8 years and represent clients in blockchain and the crypto space. So I'm going to be speaking today on investing in cryptocurrency and an overview of blockchain and what it represents. And I thought it would be a good idea, first of all, to thank the organizers of this event. I speak at quite a few of them, and they really did a great job assembling a great team of people and panelists, as well as lining up ICOs. And for these types of events, I can tell you that they really did a tremendous job. So I'd just like to acknowledge them and maybe give them a round of applause. So just want to kind of get a lay of the land here. I know that people came from all different places and people are in different backgrounds. So just to get an idea, how many people here in the crowd are from the development community? If you could just raise your hand. Okay, do we have any miners here? Okay, do we have any professionals, accountants, lawyers? Investors. Okay, so we have quite a good mix of people here, and which is usually the case. So hopefully there's something here for everybody. How many people would say that they're new to the crypto space? How many people would say they have a pretty good moderate, let's say, understanding of blockchain and crypto? Okay, and then how many people would say they're experts? You're the guy. There's always one in the crowd, yeah. No, that's great. So yeah, again, you see a lot of diversity, and that's what we see more and more at all of these events, is you get a big cross-section of people. So the question that I have for you now is, why are you here? Perhaps maybe somebody just wants to volunteer and tell them what is it that brought them to this conference. Anybody? How about you, sir? Yeah, what is it that compelled you to come here today? Okay, great. You said, sir, you're a miner, correct? So, small scale. I'm sorry, and where are you in from? Florida. Okay, and so how are you finding it so far, the presentations? Very interesting, yeah. Yeah. Anybody else? How about one more person? How about you? You said you're an investor, correct? Okay, so you're interested in the ICO process and, no? Okay. Well, again, we see there's quite a good cross-section and different reasons why people are here. So what is it that we actually know about blockchain? Who is the founder of blockchain? I guess even that is debatable. There you go. And he's definitely in the top 5 for contention. So, yes. Sure. Can you hear? No, you can't hear him. Okay, so essentially what he's talking about is blockchain is a distributed ledger system, and we're going to get into that. So what we know about blockchain is that in 2008, Satoshi Nakamoto supposedly invented this, whether it's a person, whether it's a group of people. In 2008 is supposedly when this occurred, and then within a year later, it was actually realized and implemented. What actually is the result of that is you have a distributed ledger system that's decentralized, and it's transparent, and it's open source. So what does that really mean in the bigger picture? Anybody want to take a guess? Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. I like this. So, so in the larger picture, why this came about is because of disenfranchisement with current systems of institutions and government. And the amount of control that they have been, exerted over the general population, the masses, the public, however you want to call it. And what the result of that is really, in other words, is it really restricted the amount of goods and services that were available to the mass population. And so this disenfranchisement led to the development of blockchain to be able to make things more accessible, allow things to be transparent, allow fees to come down, and really, benefit, the population on a much grander scale. Because in order to take part in the government system or to get access to most goods and services, you needed to be identifiable through some sort of government identification, and you had to pay high fees, and that excluded the vast majority of people. And so this evolution of blockchain is really, to get things into the people's hands, to alleviate a lot of things that exist now, from poverty to clean water that we don't have, but things on a much greater scale than what we're talking about, just speeding up transactions. And so, this is something that is much greater, is the point that I'm getting at, because it eliminates the government in certain respects. You don't necessarily need to have an identification to be part of it, government ID, and you can transact at a very small cost, and for people that are unbanked, that's critical. Yes, trust and decentralization of power. Right, because through the transparency, you can validate, and it's open source. So people can see it's all open, nothing's being hidden, people can contribute, and they're a part of it. And that leads me to the next thing, is what it does is it's really restoring power to the people. I mean, that's what this is really about. We can get caught up in the technologies and the specifics of it all, and that's all great. But it's important to see the big picture and understand that this is an ecosystem, this is a movement, this is something greater than a single technology. And so we need to continue to go down this path to restore the power to the people so that they can have access to goods, services. More people will participate in this process, and they'll be empowered and they'll be willing to be part of this ecosystem. Where people have felt excluded, they just wrote it off. This is an opportunity for people to feel empowered again and actually participate where everybody's helping each other. And so this really requires a change in thinking, a paradigm shift. I'm going to tell you a quick story. I was speaking about 6 months ago at Fordham Law School to 300 family offices on the topic of raising capital. And a woman said to me, I'm having problems raising capital in my area for industrials. And so I asked her, well, what are you doing? And she said, well, I'm calling this one and I'm calling that one, and I got a list and I've got this game plan. And I said to her, well, in terms of the people that you talk to who turn you down, have you asked them if they could refer you to somebody? And she said, well, no, why would I do that? And I said, well, why wouldn't you? And she goes, well, why would they want to give me away their contact? In our industry, nobody shares contacts. And I said to her, that's why there's no innovation in your field. Your field has been stagnant and it's not growing, and that's why you're all here. There's a concept called open source where people contribute and share, and until you get on that page, you're going to have a very long road. This is about participating and doing things together. And lo and behold, I spoke with her briefly after that conference. I gave her some advice in terms of asking questions. I told her, just ask. Ask competitors, ask everybody that you know, especially the people that turn you down, and especially people who are in that industry, and especially your competitors. If your competitors couldn't get the money from those people, they have nothing to lose by sharing that contact with you. And she called me within a week and she said, you know what, you're not even going to believe this. I'm already on the road to getting the money. She goes, it's just a completely different way of doing things that in our industry has been taboo. So, that goes to my point, is that, we need more of this cooperation in where we are located here, especially, San Francisco, Silicon Valley. I'm from Los Angeles. This is a lot more commonplace than in the rest of the world. But you're all here for a reason, and that reason is because you're interested in blockchain, you're interested in cryptocurrency, and you're interested in being part of a much greater ecosystem to really make a change for the better. And that's what's really, critical here. So what I want to move on to now is actually investing in cryptocurrency. So, how many people are really involved in cryptocurrency? Does anybody, okay? You want to? Okay, so here we have a plug for a product that's the greatest wallet on the earth. That's fingerprint encrypted, you said? Okay. So my question is can anybody take a guess at how many, at the end of 2007, can anybody take a guess at how many, approximately how many wallets are in existence? No, wallets. Wallets. Who owns cryptocurrency here? How many wallets do you have? How many wallets do you have? You have 2. What's that? Yes. Yeah, anything where money is sitting. Okay, we're getting close. He said 30 million. Anybody else want to take a guess? Okay. At the end of 2007, there's approximately 21 million wallets. Of those wallets, a good 2017. 2017. I stand corrected. If I said 2007, I meant 2017. So 2017, 21 million wallets. The majority of those wallets belong to, when I say the majority, a good portion, I should say, not the majority, a very substantial portion of those wallets belong to miners. Now, as the gentleman, the young lady over here, she said, you had how many wallets? 4. Anybody else? How many do you have? 3. How many do you have? 4, 15. Anybody else? 12. Well, yeah, he's a minor. So, just to give you an idea, I just kind of asked this question generally as just out of curiosity to kind of get an idea of in general. And my experience is generally people have 4, roughly 4. I have substantially more. I'm not a minor, but I'm an anomaly in some other people. But let's say 4. So let's say there's 21 million wallets. Let's say half belong to minors. It's 10.5. Divide by 4, you have 2.5 million wallets. That's 2.5 million people that hold cryptocurrency. It's nothing. So, you have to realize that everybody sitting here, this is history. You are part of something that has unbelievable potential that very few people are participating in. So, aside from the wallet holders and people that are actually engaging in holding currency, how well known do you think cryptocurrency is? Well, I was kind of surprised, actually. I'll just tell you real quickly, on my way up to the conference, I stopped at a department store to get a scarf because I thought it was going to be cold up here. And a young gentleman in his early 20s said to me, "Can I help you?" I said, "Yeah, I'd like to get a scarf." He said, "Come with me, I'll help you." I said, "Look, I'm in a rush, just whatever it is, just, give me whatever you have." He says, "What are you in a rush for?" I said, "I'm going to a blockchain conference and I need to be late. I don't want to be late." So he said, "Well, what's blockchain?" So I kind of looked at him like, you're 20-something years old. I said, "Cryptocurrency, cryptocurrency?" He's like, "No." And so I said, "How about Bitcoin?" He goes, "Oh yeah, I heard of Bitcoin." He goes, "You think I should look into that?" So, yeah, so to my surprise, even young people, they may know what Bitcoin is, they may know what digital currency is, but the point is how many people are actually involved in this? And again, it's a very, very small portion of people. So, having gone through all of this, how does all of this relate to investing? Well, blockchain and blockchain projects and cryptocurrency need mass adoption to succeed. Now, we can see from what I'm just telling you that there's not the level of participation to get the kind of mass adoption that we really need as of yet. That's why what we're seeing is, to some degree overstated. That's why we're seeing corrections in terms of the values of these currencies because of overstatements and not intentional. And a lot of the market is inflated because not all of the currency is being traded or volumes are extremely low. So there are other factors that are weighing in on the market. So in order for this to happen, we need this mass adoption. That's why I started my company, PMBC Group, years ago, was to help technology companies. And that's what we do, is we help companies through broad-based media exposure to validate their technology. And the reason being is because once you have credibility in your space from your peers, then it opens up opportunities and synergies with other businesses. It also gets you out there for potential investment, capital investment, and it also eliminates the need to have to, for consumers or users, to do a tremendous amount of research to find out what you're all about, because you're being validated by a credible source, and so that shortcuts the educational process for consumers and users. And so essentially what that does is it's really greasing the wheels for mass adoption. What I like to look at, and my primary rule in terms of investing, is if it's strictly about the profits, the project, if it's strictly about the project, profits, then don't invest in it. I have what I call a sniff test, and there's 4 things that I look at before I dive deep, because I'm being offered opportunities every single day. I have people calling me, asking me to help them get exposure for their companies. I deal with companies that are in their infancy to clients that are very well known. I represent Dash, which is a currency. I also represent UC Berkeley Blockchain and affiliate companies and a host of other blockchain companies. And I'm constantly being offered to invest in companies that are, like I said, on the drawing board, companies that are, ICO, post-ICO, different stages. So I see a lot of opportunities. But in order for me, I have a sniff test. And what that comes down to is 4 things. And the first thing is does the project promote and support autonomous ecosystems for the greater good? So in other words, if it's just about a project where they can just increase the speed of a transaction, then for me, that's not enough. There has to be some greater impact, and it has to actually help people beyond just creating an efficiency. The second is, does the project have the ability to improve the way people live on a daily basis? This is what this whole movement is about. If you want to invest in blockchain and you want to be a winner over the long term, not a speculator, then you need to have that long-term perspective, and you need to invest in things of substance. So this is how I develop my sniff test. The third is whether the founder is promoting his company or whether he's promoting a cause. And what I do is I like to just Google the founder and kind of see what it is that is their focus. What is it that's kind of their mission? What is it that's driving them? And if it's about the cause, then they're doing something out of purpose. And in my opinion, that's an element that you need to have a successful venture. The fourth thing is does mass adoption seem likely? Now, that may seem, like very difficult, but just kind of on a gut level, when you first hear about the project, do you get that feeling that it's reasonably likely that people are going to utilize this because it's got a good interface, it's easy to use, it's seamless? Can I see myself utilizing this all the time because it's something that makes my life better on a daily basis? Those are the 4 things that I look at. And then if I get past that, then I apply just kind of the standard investment analysis. And that's what everybody talked about, that everybody goes down the list. So I'll just mention them, but you all probably know what they are by now. You want to evaluate the executive team. You want to see what their past experience and performance is. If anybody wants to write this down, I'll slow down, but I'm assuming that, yeah? Okay. Has the team worked together? And what is their focus? Because a lot of projects, there's a lot of things that they want to accomplish, but what is it that they're focused on doing first and foremost? The second thing is evaluating the technology and the development team. So what I look for is, does the technology fundamentally make sense? Because believe it or not, people will tell you about a technology and you're just like, that just makes no sense at all. It's just not practical, it's not realistic. It's just, it's just a thought, it's just an idea, but I don't see it coming to fruition. The other thing that goes with that is it scalable? And that's really important because you want to invest in something. These are things that are going to take time to develop, and you want to make sure that you're investing in something that can really grow, beyond selling, a million phones or, a million this or a million that. You want to be involved in something that can scale exponentially, that you can see the potential where it can just grow through synergies with other businesses. It has the ability to keep expanding. And then how likely is it that the team is actually going to execute on what it is that they're saying they're going to do? And again, you kind of look at the things that, have they worked together? What have they done? And then from there, the last thing that I look at is I evaluate financials. So I look at a lot of existing companies. So I actually get to look at actual statements, operating statements and balance sheets. But in the case where those don't exist, then you're looking at projections. And in a lot of cases, those projections are, not very reliable. Yeah, well, I mean, white papers are evolving. White papers were 10 pages. Now you're starting to see them, more extensively, but they were focused. Right. So what the gentleman is saying is in the white papers, you're not seeing financial statements, profit and loss statements or budgets or whatever. And in large part is because they're selling, a lot of cases, and I'm not taking away from any specific project, but in a lot of cases in this space, people are selling the dream. They're selling a dream. They don't have the team. They don't have, anything to really execute. I had somebody just a few days ago, I spoke at a conference. Gentleman came up to me. He was actually also a presenter at the conference, and he said to me, I want to do an ICO for microloans. And do you think that I'm going to have a problem with, it being a security? And I said, well, loans are, they're already regulated by, where you are, by the Department of Corporations, and where you are already regulates them, and you're already subject to reporting anyway. How do you think you're going to get away from reporting to the government when you already have to report to the state? So, everybody has an idea, but, it's up to you to do the due diligence. I would encourage you all to consider, again, the big picture and what this is really all about. And everybody who's here is supporting this greater cause to help people on a much greater scale. And if we can keep that in mind without getting too sucked in by all the opportunities and, get rich quick and, technologies that are very limiting. If you can keep the focus on the bigger picture, then I believe you're all going to be winners in investing. And you have to be in it for the long term. You can't expect to be in for a year or 2 years. This is equivalent to essentially, and this time I'm going to get the year right, this is basically roughly equivalent to 1997. Based upon the amount of money that went into to the internet in 1995, that was equivalent to 2016. In 1996, in 2017, last year, significantly more went into blockchain than went into the internet in 96. And so if you look at the curve, blockchain is growing on a greater scale exponentially. And in my personal opinion, is going to continue to scale, provided that the people who are leading the technologies continue to stay on the path of what they originally set out to do, and I believe they will. So I'm gonna just, so that concludes my speech. I'm gonna take questions now or comments. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry? Okay, so the question, the comment basically is that it's hard to exclude large corporations such as Bank of America, because they're so heavily invested and hold patents on blockchain. And this idea of trying to be transparent and decentralized may seem a little far-fetched at the moment. Would you say? Right. So again, the idea is he's talking about open ledgers being more transparent and being more accountable. The thing is, though, with institutions, is what they're really developing is more intra-blockchain, and a lot of that is proprietary and it's not open. And so they're just utilizing the portion of the technology that creates efficiencies for them to make more money, but it's not really helping the people who need the most help. And so that's why I'm saying, we can't be fooled by what it is that they're doing. We need to, be clear on what it is that their, efforts are. If they were the ones who were leading the charge, then we wouldn't be talking about Ether. We would be talking about, B of A coins or whatever. That's not the case. And so we need to support the people, like Ethereum and like EOS and these other blockchains that are trying to continue to promote, what's in everybody's best interest. It would be great if the banks would be transparent, but that's a little naive. We all went through 2008, nothing changed. They're still doing the same stuff, still doing subprime mortgage loans and all of that, still selling them in the secondary market, still have the rate, like Moody's and S&P rating securities and then selling them in secondary markets. It's all just another catastrophe in the making, about to happen all over again. We can avoid that, and we can do that by everybody here continuing to be involved in this and to bring in more people and support the other people who are interested in doing this. Oh, if I may, one last thing. I'm going to be speaking tomorrow at Draper University for FinTech World. And if anybody's interested in going, you can go as my guest. It's about, I think, $400 or $500 to go. If you want to go and you're interested, you can be my guest and go for free. What's that?
Do they just show up?
Just come meet me, and you can just take a quick photo of this, and you can present it, and they'll allow you free admittance.
Here, why don't we, can we hold it up so people can
well,
see right now, or you want?
Oh yeah, if you.
I mean, so that if anyone who wants to, then they don't have to follow you around.
Okay,
anyone who wants to, come take a photo of this. Draper University is in San Mateo. It's an entrepreneurial university.
Tim Draper.
And this is I don't know if it's their conference or another group is producing it, but it's an annual FinTech Expo conference tomorrow in San Mateo.
Yeah, and so I've spoken at several.
Oh, that's nice. All right.
They have an event in London.
See? Aren't you better I did this than all these people talking to you? Don't you people have anything better to do than go to FinTech events on your weekend?
And actually, several of the speakers, like Alex and a few other people who spoke here are also speaking at that event as well.
Well, it's endless supply. Now, I always say that we could do events at midnight on the weekend and people would show up. They probably would. All right, well, first of all, let's thank Keith, and let's give a round of applause for everybody who stayed to the very end. Thank you. So as I mentioned, we don't know if we get an actual table at the bar, but at 6 we're going to meet down here. We have about 40 people who showed interest in going up together, so we'll see if we can find space at the bar. If not, there is a second bar in the downstairs lobby of the hotel, and hopefully you'll all find each other.
We can just sit it.
Yeah, sure.
How about that?